Okay, hey everybody, welcome to After the Movie. Today your hosts are myself, Skylar,
and Mia.
and Mia, my sister here, and kind of Anna. She's sitting in the background. She's not going to contribute too much, but I feel like she is going to say something.
She probably will
at some
once
point.
we mention something.
So if you hear her soft voice in the background, yeah.
So, so we saw it, guys.
So yeah,
saw Beauty
and
the Beast.
2K17.
2K17.
Yeah, pretty lame.
We have a lot of. Well, let's.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. So
I'm not gonna do a Doug Walker and just be like it sucked.
Yeah,
Even though I want to, but I won't because
Yeah,
I feel like we should discuss.
Yeah. So
everything.
Okay, so the way that this show, this podcast, whatever, maybe eventually we'll do it on camera. We just don't have a good location to do it at right now. So after the movie, this is immediately after seeing the movie, we're just going to discuss the movie, basically like a review, and just talk about the movie in general, and not necessarily giving it like stars or anything at the end, or saying you should go see it or don't go see it. Just,
just like
just a discussion,
yeah.
So feel free to, respond in some way in angry internet comments.
At least be civil.
But yeah, we appreciate full fleshed out thoughts and not just 140 character.
Oh, like, I liked it, so you suck.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Like
Yeah, like that's not.
Okay, well, I need a reason why you liked
it. We need constructive things.
Like, again, if you like it, that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah, and hopefully.
Clearly, the demographic for this movie is for you and not for me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, hopefully our thoughts about the film are justified. Hopefully we back them up with full fleshed out thoughts and opinions
that you guys can understand,
that are based on things within the movie and that are constructive and not like, oh, I hate this because it's dumb. It's like, well, I didn't like this because blank. That's hopefully the discussion we're going to try and have, even if it's a movie that we really don't like, and this movie, I didn't really not like it. Let's get into it.
Well, I didn't hate it with like every part of my soul or anything. Yeah. I thought some parts were okay.
Yeah, I thought some parts were fine. I didn't think it was like the worst movie ever. I didn't think it was.
But I didn't think it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So let's talk about what we liked. Honestly
very little.
Not a lot. Yeah, the fan is really bugging the audio, but so sorry about that, guys.
So like in general stuff that we liked, just off the top of your head, Kevin Kline.
I thought Kevin Kline. The best thing in the movie was Kevin Kline as the dad.
Cause he was having fun.
Yeah.
I feel like he was like really into his part.
Yeah, he's playing.
Like now that I'm thinking about it,
crazy old Maurice.
He was just like really into it. Like he didn't feel forced like a bunch of other people did.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
Josh Gad, we like Josh Gad.
I thought Josh Gad was the second best in the cast.
Yeah, he was the second best.
Third
best, I guess, the Beast.
Yeah, he was.
If we're doing like top 3, like he was.
I gotta say, who I was disappointed in the most, but I guess I can't blame them, was Stanley Tucci. Because he had nothing to do.
He had nothing to do, and that's really sad.
That's really bummer because
even if the movie's not that great, whatever Stanley Tucci is in, I will like his performance at least. Always, except maybe Transformers, but
oh yeah,
he didn't have a lot to do in that movie either. But anything else he's in, if everything else sucks, I will always like his performance, with a few exceptions of Transformers and this movie, because he did nothing.
Yeah, he had nothing to do in this movie. He had like 8 lines of dialogue, and there was no point.
And then at the end, he's like smiling and just like, hey, I'm playing.
I thought he was gonna have a song.
Me too. I thought
it's a damn piano. But anyway, we'll get into that.
But yeah, I was.
So yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, yeah.
Okay, so
we'll talk about that later when we talk about the cast.
And then in terms of just scenes and how things looked and everything, I gotta say my favorite part was the end of Be Our Guest, specifically about the last 30 seconds. That was about it.
I didn't mind. Like I did like that too. Like that to me felt like its own thing that it did well.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think what other I guess like when they're dancing, whenever there was a big crowd of people dancing, like the ballroom.
Oh yeah.
But when there was a crowd of people,
yeah,
it looked nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, there were some moments that were weird, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah. Okay, so the bad.
Bad.
So I
it's
think
the same movie.
yeah, which
It's
is
exactly
like
the same
you
movie.
would think that would work, but as was proven with Psycho from the 90s.
And that's a bad thing because it shouldn't be the same movie.
It shouldn't. If you're going to change it, you need to have a reason to change it, you know? And I think when you get a director, like at least, you know, I haven't seen all of the Cinderella remake, but I think Kenneth Branagh, more than likely, because he's Kenneth Branagh, he brought something that he felt was very much his own to the project.
He can bring like a Shakespearean kind of like old school kind of theater thing.
Yeah, which
it,
probably works a little bit for
which
Cinderella.
Is why
I don't know. I haven't seen the film
like,
really.
Which is why he does
full.
like a bunch of Shakespeare stuff.
And I think Jon Favreau is a skilled director who did bring some new stuff to the new Jungle Book. You know, I think like that movie has the opportunity to become something different when you have a different director behind it. I can see why a lot of people liked it. I didn't enjoy it too much, but like there's the great action sequence where they escape King Louis and the great climax where Mowgli's up in the trees while the forest is on fire. It's an awesome sequence. But
get ready for Guy Ritchie's Aladdin.
I don't know what the hell that could possibly be.
And Tim Burton's Dumbo.
With Will Smith. Like I never thought I'd see that headline. Will Smith's cast in Tim Burton's Disney live-action gritty Dumbo. Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds like an Onion.
Yeah,
like
what is that? Like.
Anyway, so yeah, it's the same movie. Also, the bad in general is nobody sings in this movie. Technically, pretty much, it's all talk singing.
A lot of talk singing, except Audra McDonald, and Emma Thompson does a pretty good job. She's probably the best out of the main cast who's never really like they're not really like singers like Audra McDonald. Yeah. And then like I think Dan Stevens does good. He's the beast, right? I get so confused between him and Luke Evans because
they have the same the same kind of name.
They have the same kind of name and they got the same kind of body and their faces are
and they're both English and
different.
white.
Yeah.
So it's like
and like I feel racist against white people right now, but that's the
There were some parts of Dan Stevens singing that were okay for me, but
I thought I thought the people who weren't really singers, aka Dan Stevens and Emma Watson, I thought they shined the best in the songs that were original songs, and that they were the weakest in the songs from the original film.
Yeah, like they sounded better in the new songs written for this film.
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they sounded better in those songs, and I think only because the songs were probably written for them instead of the original film where they wrote the songs and then they cast Broadway
singers
to star in it. Yeah,
who have range and can sing, and know how to sing.
Yeah.
Also, the bad Emma Watson was awful.
I don't want to say she was awful, but she's so like plain and Anna brought up a good point earlier because she was like, we were talking about there's a moment when she does the reprise of Belle, you know, Madame Gaston, can you believe
there were awkward parts in that song where I'm like, why is she like grunting?
Yeah, she does like the
I'm like, why do you who told her to do that?
She reaches into the chicken feed and goes and then she like throws it at the chickens all mean, like the poor chickens are just getting pelted with the chicken feed. And so
my thing was like,
about that.
Who told her to do that?
I brought that up and Anna was like, yeah, I thought that was really mean. I didn't really like her. And then Mia
she wasn't likable.
She's not.
But I think that's because she wasn't believable.
Yeah, she was very much an actress in a movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't want to say it's like Sofia Coppola in, like, Godfather, but like kind of in that, not the same obviously, but that kind of like, oh well, she's just, it's like, okay, the director told me to do this, so I'm gonna do this, and then not actually like gives a performance. They just do an action in it.
Yeah.
Because they're getting a paycheck.
Yeah, it was.
Also bad, they wasted Audra McDonald.
Oh God, yeah, they completely wasted her. Like they get this Broadway actress, they make a big announcement. We cast Audra McDonald, and everyone's like, "Oh, great!"
Oh, it's gonna be.
They have a Broadway actress now, someone who can
Who has a
sing.
voice.
Yeah, they can.
She has one of the biggest and best voices, like, in Broadway history, pretty much. And, like, she sings, like, 7 lines.
Yeah, it was pretty bummer. And I know some people were happy that she even sang, but I'm
I mean, so was I, but, like,
you know, like
it's Audra McDonald.
yeah. No, yeah. The other thing that, again, we'll talk about again later is...
she was the best part about the live Sound of Music.
Who was she in that one?
She's the Mother Superior. She sings "Climb Every Mountain."
Oh, sweet! I usually dislike that song.
Yeah, no, it's like
and
it's the greatest thing ever.
That's awesome.
It's Audra McDonald. Yeah,
did a good
like
job with that, yeah.
that's the kind of song you give Audra McDonald when you cast her in anything.
Every mountain.
Because she has a very I can understand why they cast her because she has a very operatic voice.
Mm-hmm.
But like, why did
I didn't like the character she played too.
Oh yeah, no, I hated the
That
character.
character was boring. And she slept all the time, and then she was bad at dressing people. Which also, why was she a wardrobe? She sings. Why didn't she turn into like a microphone or something?
Or a music
That was
stand.
so weird. Yeah, like Stanley Tucci played the harpsichord or whatever.
He turned into the
harpsichord. Why? What? Anyway, whatever. Okay, so good and bad over. Cast. Let's talk about the cast, and as we're already talking about it, but the cast.
All right,
the cast.
we'll just
start from the top.
Okay,
Belle.
Emma Watson. I thought she was bad.
I thought she was kind of wooden. I think there were moments. Again, I think the thing is, so people were so quick to say Emma Watson is perfect casting, and I think they were quick to say that because who's the one character everybody knows Emma Watson for? Hermione. And what? Hermione. And what does Hermione do? She's a bookworm.
She's a nerd.
She reads. She's a nerd. She reads. Yeah, right.
She's super smart.
You know, yeah, she's really smart because she reads, almost annoyingly so. And
yeah, well, because she's that friend that like tells the other friends, guys, we should study. Yeah, she's the mom friend.
She's the mom friend.
Yeah, she's like, guys, we should study. We need to study. Why aren't you studying?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna get a good grade on this if you don't study. Like, you know.
Her classic line, or worse, expelled.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people were like, oh, she could play Belle. She'd be perfect.
But then that's just generalizing both characters.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, they both like books. Okay, cool. She'll be great because one of her other character that she's famous for liked books.
Yeah, and I think that was really misguided because we had never seen her really act. Sorry about the squeaky chair. We had never really seen her act other than Hermione, which, like, for all we know,
like, she was in like 2 other things, and then The Perks of Being a Wallflower. But
yeah.
Like,
and the thing is, for all we know, Hermione was her personality. You know, like she wasn't doing much acting necessarily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, she's typecast.
Like, only in the emotional moments in Harry Potter was she doing acting. You know what I mean? Like, when she's just playing the character, you know, who says things like, or worse, expelled, that's not too far off from how she would act anyway. Like, we don't know. We didn't know. And we knew for a fact, at least because in other movies we hadn't seen her sing, that she couldn't sing. Also proven when she first got cast and she posted on her Facebook, now I gotta go take singing lessons, which did not make me...
To some degree, she said something like that.
Yeah, she said something like that, yeah. Which I know she meant it very, like, you know, oh, this is exciting. I'm gonna go learn how to sing in a musical.
When you say that...
But it's like why would you be cast in a musical if you have to go take singing lessons? Like, I mean, a singer should be taking singing lessons anyway.
Dude, even Paige O'Hara was like, "I'll help you with singing lessons."
Yeah,
And I mean, Paige O'Hara thought that Emma Watson was good casting, but like,
I'm drinking a drink. I'm sorry.
But like, in my opinion, Paige O'Hara, you are the one and only Belle.
I know.
Ever.
I mean, that voice is so good. Okay, so next on the list.
But yeah, so I mean, well, one last thing is like Emma Watson always does like the same 3 expressions.
Like
there were parts that were okay where like she was like, yeah, she does that.
That weird face. Like,
Doug Walker said it was like a troll face.
Yeah, like a troll face.
Yeah, she does that face a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
don't know.
And also like well, what I was gonna say is there were parts where it was okay, like when she's like kind of interacting with the Beast and like
I'm
laughing
telling you,
and stuff.
so like there was virtually no chemistry,
but
but
there's no care.
there
no,
was this one. There's this
chemistry.
one scene. I really don't know that we need to break this up into two halves of non-spoiler and spoiler because like
No,
everybody's
everyone
seen
at
this
this
movie.
point, everyone's seen it already.
And also,
Also,
if you
you've seen the
haven't seen this
original-
movie and you've seen the original, you've seen this movie. So there's this part where she goes to talk to the Beast and he's reading King Arthur or whatever, and that scene, like every time there was like they were close to having some sort of chemistry, the scene would end, and they would move on to something else, and it was like this sucks. Like you're not giving them a chance to get chemistry, and you can't just animate. You can't just go back and digitally. Eventually, one day they will be able to do this. You can just go back and digitally put in more emotion.
Yeah, and it's
you know,
I guess we'll
more
compare it
chemistry.
later, but like in the original film, like
they're animated characters.
There's moments, but there's moments of silence.
Yeah.
Where people like take time to think about stuff, or like there's pauses.
Yeah,
but they're not too long.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what you would do on stage. It's like, okay, you could pause here. You know, when you're giving a direction to someone on stage, it's like, okay, you could pause here, because I think you guys should like kind of think about what you're gonna do now, and then keep going.
Yeah, take this moment to have your character
like
rationalize.
That's a direction you would give
the next thing they say or do. Yeah, exactly.
On stage.
Or like take this moment to fall in love. You know, take this moment to just look at each other longingly. You know, and I think part of that, and we'll get into this later. Is the Beast and the fact that he's basically all CG. I honestly don't know what percentage of him isn't CG. He very well could. Even his clothes could have been CG.
Yeah, they look CG.
They look, yeah. Like when he's the Beast anyway.
Speaking of the Beast, okay, I'll just go on.
So let's move on to Dan Stevens.
There were parts, like I said, I think he was like third best. Out of everyone, out of the cast.
He was like, and that's not saying much because I thought the cast was okay. I think Kevin Kline was the best because he liked the role. He was having fun with it. It was like, it reminded me of Ewan McGregor in the Star Wars prequels because like everyone else is so like self-serious and like, we have to make this movie really good. And Ewan McGregor's like having fun with it, and that makes that character way better.
Yeah, that
like,
whenever I think of Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, I always think of Anakin Chancellor Palpatine is evil.
Yeah, like he's the one who has like that moment.
I can tell he's having like fun saying that. Like he's having fun with that.
Even though that's a very emotional moment, it's still like you can tell the actor is doing a good job.
And little thing on like Ewan McGregor in this movie, yeah, I could tell he was kind of having fun with the character.
I agree,
but, like,
he was having fun.
But I didn't like it.
His accent was frustrating. But anyway, so Dan Stevens, I thought he was pretty good. I think like,
sometimes for me,
again, much like with Emma Watson, but better. I think like he's so close to delivering a great moment, you know, in the movie at certain points, and then the movie either moves on to something else or
But I can't
like stops just short of it.
You can't tell of any emotion in his face because I can't see his actual face. Like I know it's CG.
Yeah.
And even still, the design, I feel like they designed it that way so that way it looks more human, so you can kind of tell more of like his emotions.
Yeah,
but like the original film, he has so much emotion in his face, and that's animated.
I feel like, and we should save this for later, but like I feel like a lot of people. You know, when a lot of people complain that the Beast's design was not very good, like it was ugly, a lot of people's defense of it was, well, he's a beast, he's supposed to be ugly. And to that I say, he's not the right ugly. Like, he's not, he just looks weird. He looks like a goat man.
Yeah, he's just a goat man.
And part of that, like, is that you're supposed to sympathize with a beast before he's supposed to feel human. He's supposed to be a beast before he can become human. And when he already has human-like features...
Like, his mouth was human already.
Yeah, I loved his little, like, baby fangs sticking out.
He had, like, vampire fangs.
I remember, like, when I was sitting next to Anna, and like, there's a close-up of the beast. We were sitting in the front row in 3D, which never do that.
That gave me a headache.
I don't know why they allow that. I know because they want money, but whatever. And it's the theaters that want money.
But also the screen
was weird too. Yeah.
That wasn't the movie's fault. That wasn't the movie. That was the theater.
Yeah. But Cinemark. But no. No, it's fine, Cinemark. You're okay. I remember pointing at the beast's little mouth, and I'm like, look at his little baby fangs. Like, they're so cute. Like, why does he have that? You know, he should look intimidating.
He had the little anime tooth.
And he just has, the little anime tooth, yeah. But anyway, so you're supposed to sympathize with him as a beast, not as, like, a half-man, half-goat beast. Like, I just think the beast in the original film, again, we have to compare. Like, there's no, like, and we'll talk about that later. I keep saying that.
They also try to make him look kind of handsome in this one. In,
Yeah,
a really
like-
weird way.
Because, like, he
Yeah.
has his shirt off, but, like, he has pecs still. Like, and he has muscles, like, biceps. You can still see the outline of muscles under the fur. Like, why can I see that?
Yeah, what the heck?
Like, now that you just mentioned it, like, it
They're
was
like,
bizarre.
we have to make the beast look like Chris
He
Evans.
has to, yeah,
and
but,
it's like, no,
you
you need
can't-
to look like a beast.
you
like,
can't do that. You
why?
know, Chris Evans would have been really good.
Yeah. Can he sing?
He can sing.
Yeah, like he's not a professional.
He's
or
not a
anything.
professional singer, but he can sing.
Oh yeah. Anyway, back to
I
the
think
cast.
he'd be a good Prince Philip, though.
We'll talk about. Oh, he'd be a great Prince Philip.
Hell yeah.
Anyway.
Live action remake of Sleeping Beauty, but
Yes.
not Maleficent.
Yeah,
like,
no.
just do what
Make-
you did with Beauty and the Beast, but do,
Do it better.
Sleeping Beauty better with
And make Chris
Evans.
Prince Philip.
Yeah, just do that. Like, anyway,
Yeah,
I think I'm blowing out the mic. But anyway, so back to the cast. Dan Stevens, he's fine.
He was
I guess
alright.
he's okay. He's all right. Okay, so
I wish he had more practical effects.
yeah,
in
that
his
would have made
face.
it better. Because I feel
I think
bad.
his performance would have been a lot
Because there's
better.
some really good Disney movie performances using just CG. I mean, like, I always thought that what's his name? Now I sound like an idiot. The Network, Bill Nighy. I always thought Bill Nighy's performance as Davy Jones is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Even through all that CG, it
Do
looks
you fear death?
Yeah, he's amazing.
I love Bill Nighy.
He's so great, and especially that movie. Like, I think he's a great villain in that movie, and he's so great. Speaking of villains, and just proving, just to go back a second, just proving that you can act really well through CG, and the CG can really help enhance that. Because Davy Jones is a formidable villain, and I don't care what anybody says. I think Pirates 2 is a great movie.
I think a lot of people like Pirates.
I like Pirates 2 a lot, but a lot of people like the first one's the only good one, and I'm like, the second one kicks ass.
I think the first two are really good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the third one
The
is
third
where
one's
it's
where
like,
it starts to dip. Anyway,
and the fourth one is god awful.
I know, what was the point of that? Anyway, okay, whatever. So, speaking of villains, Luke Evans as Dan Stevens. Luke Evans. What is going on here?
Luke Evans is Dan Stevens.
Luke Evans as Dan Stevens.
As Gaston.
As Gaston. Again,
I'm really
he's very
I'm
like
really disappointed because from the trailers and like the small clips,
from
I
the
thought
song. Yeah,
I thought he
oh
was
my
gonna
God.
be good,
I thought he
but
was gonna
that
be the
was
best
when
part of the movie.
but that was back when we didn't get a longer clip of the song.
Yeah, and as soon as we started getting more footage of Gaston, I was like, oh no, like he's kind of flat. Like he's just a flat character in this film, and some might argue he's a flat character in the original film. But in this film, I think part of what worsens that is that they try and rationalize some of the character, and I'm like, why? Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. That's probably the worst part of the movie. And we'll talk about that in a bit, but just like this attempt to sort of put a backstory to literally everything.
But I was really disappointed because I thought he would be really good. And like both him and Dan Stevens, I've never seen them in anything before. Like I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, and
apparently they're on like in
they're
stuff.
in stuff. Yeah, I
that
never really
people
seen
watch,
them,
but I've never seen them or heard of them
people
before.
watch.
But, I don't watch TV. I watch everything online.
Yeah.
But like yeah, there were parts where I just didn't believe he was Gaston because he's not that handsome.
I know, and he's not that buff. That was the other thing too. Like,
yeah,
Chris Evans could have played Gaston.
Chris Evans could have been
You
Gaston.
know who Chris Evans could have played? Belle.
He would have made a great Belle.
No.
No, and I think no. You know what? And you know what? And you know what? I think Chris Evans said Belle is his favorite princess. Is his favorite
Oh
Disney character,
damn!
Which
son.
like which just makes me love him even more. I'm sorry, like
This podcast is unabashedly in love
this is
with
dedicated to Chris Evans.
So if we could have Chris Evans
I love
on,
you.
that would be pretty sweet.
I can only admit this here because you can't see my face and how red it's turning.
But Chris Evans, if you ever want to come on the show and do a whole episode devoted to the Captain America trilogy, I am ready to go.
So am I. I'm extremely ready to go. I'm raring to go.
So anyway, Gaston, I think he's just very plain. I think that's a big problem with the movie.
His singing was okay.
Yeah, his singing was okay. I think he is too high of a voice for Gaston.
Yeah, me
I think
too.
Gaston needs to be more of like a I don't want to say a bass, but
maybe a higher bass or a lower baritone. I don't
Yeah.
know. Somewhere in between a bass and a baritone.
yeah, he needs to, like the original again. To compare it to the original film, which I hate to do, but in this case, I think it's completely justified. Like the original Gaston is so, Hugh Jackman
he's
would have
very
been
slimy.
Hugh Jackman 8 years ago would have been a great
Heck yeah.
choice for this. I mean,
And he
'cause
played
him on
Gaston.
Broadway,
Or like the Australian equivalent of Broadway.
Broadway.
I don't know.
So you get it
That's
because it was like G'day.
That was awful.
Yeah, sorry, Australian people.
But yeah, no,
I didn't
look
mean
it
that.
up. Hugh Jackman did
Hugh
play
Jackman,
Gaston.
and he did a great job. And I think he could have done an amazing job.
Yeah, if this had been made like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I think because he's a little old now. Hashtag old man Logan. So
This is also dedicated to you, Hugh Jackman.
yeah,
We
Hugh
love
Jackman, you want to come on the show talk about
Wolverine.
Wolverine, but
And you
not the
playing
bad
Gaston.
one.
And being on Broadway.
Yeah,
Because he was in Oklahoma,
that'd be
too.
sweet. Yeah. So yeah, he was okay. The next most important character, I guess, would be the dad.
Kevin Kline. We loved Kevin Kline.
He was amazing.
He was really good.
He was just really good. He seemed like he was having fun with the character.
The character
like,
fit him.
Yeah.
Like, I never felt like he was, like, just doing a role. Like,
yeah, it felt like
it
he
did not
was the
feel
dad.
phoned in.
Yeah, even though Kevin Kline's British accent kind of was iffy.
But that
and
always
went in and
happens when
out.
he does an English accent.
I think it's the same problem that Ewan McGregor has, but lucky for Kevin Kline, he doesn't have to sing, and he doesn't have as many
he
speaking
kind
lines.
of sang, but that
He did,
but
yeah.
that was it.
But he doesn't have as many speaking lines, and like I think Ewan McGregor, unfortunately for him, his accent slips in and out a little worse than
Like, I can't
Kevin
tell
Kline.
where the hell he's supposed to be from,
And
even
he
though
has to sing with
they're
it, and
French.
Yeah.
Like, again, yes.
There were some moments in this movie that I thought were really funny, but I'll talk about it later because there's a line the Beast has about when they're in France that I thought was funny. When they're in Paris, that I thought was funny.
Oh yeah, no, I thought that was
Yeah,
funny. I
I
thought
was
that
like,
part was funny.
And if Bella,
But it was in a scene-
if Bella and Damn interacted with him,
But it
that
was
would
in
have been
but
a
it-
good
but
moment
it was-
for them to connect.
But that line was in a scene that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, what was the... Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Let's see what else. Let's just go through everyone else. Okay, I guess Josh Gad.
Josh Gad as
Josh
LeFou.
Gad.
I thought he was the second best. I had problems with LeFou as a character because...
But not the performance.
Not the performance. I thought he was good. I just thought like LeFou as a character. I hated that they tried to... Again, I didn't really hate it. It was annoying. That they tried to make him like sympathetic. They tried to make him seem rational. But like the more he kept protesting Gaston's evilness, the more I was like, okay, but like every time you let him do the bad thing, that makes you worse. Because at least in the original film, LeFou is just blindly following Gaston. So I can't necessarily blame him for doing evil things.
Because he's just the stupid lackey.
Yeah, he is the fool. But in this, he like stops and questions, and he's like, maybe we should not do this. And Gaston's like, okay, fine.
There was that part
I'll
at the
hurt
beginning.
you.
There's that part at the beginning where he talks to like the Babettes, or the equivalent of the Babettes, because I don't think they're really Babettes.
But for those of you uninformed, they're in the
Babettes-
original film, they're
the
the three
Babettes are the
blonde
three
women
blonde
who are
hoes.
in love with
the three
Gaston.
blonde hoes that are in love with
Or I
Gaston.
suppose I should say lusting after Gaston.
Well, whatever.
But whatever.
He like tells him, he's like, it's never gonna happen, ladies, or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like, I thought he was gonna do the like stereotypical like Z formation snap,
Yeah.
but he didn't.
Cat in the Hat
Yeah,
style.
but like that was funny because I feel like that was like a Josh Gad improv.
That was
kind
very
of
much a
thing.
Josh Gad thing. I don't think that was them playing up the gayness and making it the joke, although I can see how that would be interpreted that way.
Yeah.
Because that just seemed like a Josh Gad thing to say and do. Like, just to be kind of silly.
But yeah.
But I can see how some people would be, they made a big stink about LeFou being gay. And it didn't really come into play in the movie, except if you looked at it that way, it played in as a punchline.
I can see why people would feel kind of like they made it a joke.
A friend of ours really felt that way about the film.
And I can totally see why.
I can completely see why. As soon as he said that line, I was like, oh, okay, I see what he meant by that. Because he told us before we saw the movie, he was like, they kind of make a joke out of LeFou being gay. Like, that's pretty much that's the bit with LeFou. And I don't know that was necessarily the main thing with LeFou, but I don't know. I can completely see why it could be interpreted that way. And maybe, who knows, maybe that's exactly why they did that. But there is another part that's a little tricky that we talked about, Anna, that happens in the battle scene, which is sort of homage to that one part in the battle scene that I always thought was strange in the original film. But we'll,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dress them up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funnier in the animated film.
It is funnier in the animated film because it's just completely ridiculous. And
that guy is never seen again.
yeah, like nothing happens. Okay. I think that's about it for the cast. There's I guess the objects.
All right.
So
Ewan McGregor, his French accent was god awful.
But he was having fun. I can't blame him.
Yeah, he was all right. Ian McKellen was just doing a role.
A wizard is never late.
He was just Gandalf as a clock.
Yeah. A wizard is always on time because a wizard is a clock.
Audra McDonald, wasted.
Stanley Tucci, wasted.
The feather duster that was a peacock bird for some reason, that was weird.
That was weird.
I have I'm very indifferent towards her because, like, she didn't do anything. She was just there.
Yeah, that was strange. That character's...
She's just a love interest for
Lumiere.
She's just
mean, she's in the animated film.
Yeah, but she's like...
But she looks more like a feather duster.
Yeah, and she doesn't really come into play. Like, you know what I mean?
It was just one extra...
a fun little
thing.
It
was just one extra voice to, like, say things to
Belle.
Belle.
It was,
that didn't need to be there. Because you already added Stanley Tucci and the wardrobe. And I mean, the wardrobe was in the original film, too, but, like...
I'll throw this out there. Honestly, it felt like... I don't know why, because it's the same amount of characters, arguably more in this one. It felt like that castle had about 8 people in it. Like, it had about 8 objects in it. In the original film, it feels like there's a ton. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a much better sense of scale in the original film. Like, when the battle happens in the end sequence, I feel like they have a chance. It feels like there's 100 servants turned into objects fighting against 100 village people. Whereas, like, in this film, it felt like there were 8 objects...
Honestly,
against 1,000 village people. That was weird.
You know what I'm just thinking about now? The one character they like took like, I think, stuff away from was Chip.
Yeah. Poor Chip. I was so mad.
He does way more in the animated film than he does in this movie.
I was so mad about the climax with Chip without the choppy axe thing. I knew they weren't going to do that because I knew the dad had been turned into he makes the little music box or whatever. I knew they were going to do that. But I thought Chip would have stowed away with Belle and, helped them escape.
The kid was fine.
I liked the kid. I thought he was okay.
But he sounded too old, and then he looked too young. Like, and then he looked like a little kid.
Yeah,
like, his voice did not match what the little kid looked like.
It was weird.
Because I think he's way too... I love the little kid's voice in the animated film. He's so cute. Because I can tell it's a little kid. Emma Thompson was fine, but...
Yeah, again, the best singer out of the leads.
You can't be Angela Lansbury.
Yeah,
like,
you
when,
really can't.
when Beauty and the Beast started playing, like, the song, like, in my head... I was hearing Angela Lansbury in my head.
I was ready for her to come in out of
nowhere.
Me
too. And then nope.
Like Angela Lansbury, they filmed her in front of green screen, like, and the movie's playing, and all of a sudden Angela Lansbury just walks in front of the movie. Tale as old as
but I mean, Emma Thompson's performance wasn't bad. I just thought it was weird that she was like the bookends of the movie because she does the narration and then she gave crazy old Maurice like a look at the end, which was
weird. That? Like, they're not gonna hook up because Mr. Potts or whatever.
Mr. Potts.
Like, at least in the original, I was like, oh, maybe Belle's dad is
gonna hook up with Mrs. Potts. Yeah, cool. Nope.
But no, like, not that that's important. I just thought it was weird. What was up with Mr. Potts? Anyway,
let's see.
I think the cast, we've gone through them.
Yeah.
I like the dog. Hey, I found out the dog's name was Gizmo.
Yeah.
The dog who played Fruit
Okay, yeah,
Fruit.
so that's it.
Okay, so let's talk about scenes, or specifically the songs. Because I know every movie we talk about on here on After the Movie is not going to be a musical specifically, but...
They rearranged a bunch of the scenes because it's the same movie, like we said.
Yeah,
they just rearranged them,
which was very frustrating. I think, like,
because I knew what was supposed to happen, at least with the original movie.
yeah,
Like the sequence of events.
I think like one of the things I really disliked, and I saw a bit of the review that Doug Walker does with his brother, and one of the things that I overheard them say before we saw the movie. That that it just completely stood out to me. It would have stood out to me anyway, but when Belle finishes singing Belle Reprise, because they rearrange everything, it ends on a weird moment. Because we go from I want adventure in the great wide somewhere, I want it more than I can tell, like from these blue skies and. You know, green, like we, you know,
like Sound of Music.
Anna leaned over to me joking. She's like, "Oh, it's a Sound of Music," and then like it pans over to like, as soon as it ends, it pans over to like dark, gloomy, lightning skies. And then I leaned back over to Anna, and I was like, "After the Nazis took over," like, like you know, like it was just like, why would you do that?
What a weird. That's not a transition.
Like the flow of the movie, the flow of the original film works so much better. I mean, because we see Maurice get kidnapped, and then we do the. Is that how it works? I think we see Maurice get kidnapped and all that, and then
she sings that, and then.
Because then Philippe comes in right away, which I think is so great.
That happens after Gaston proposes to her, and she says no.
Yeah, see, because what I like about that is that we're keeping the colors, we're keeping the brightness, we're keeping the excitement
of the story. It's like
there's
a moment for the song to end, and then you see Philippe her like
comes in.
You see her all kind of contemplating, and then you hear the horse.
And then Philippe comes in, and then
the mood
after
changes.
then the tone changes. It shifts into a dramatic moment. Instead of a hopeful moment, it's like a dramatic, tense-filled moment. You know, when she has to ride Philippe into the forest. And
this was just like...
It was just like, and now Kevin Kline is going to get attacked by wolves. Like, it was just strange. Let's talk about the songs. So, Bill Condon, the director, he directed Dreamgirls, and then he directed the final Twilight movies, which was weird.
Why they asked him, I don't know.
He won an Oscar, and then he was like, I'll direct Twilight. Not to say that Twilight is not worthy of an Oscar-winning director, not that Oscars mean anything.
Yeah, like...
But it's just like, that's a weird jump to make for someone who just won a major award. It's a major award.
I was going to say, it's a major award.
The leg
fragile.
lamp.
Very fragile.
Yeah. And Dreamgirls takes place in the 60s. It's a very grounded movie.
Yeah, you can go kind of crazy with like a 60s setting.
Yeah.
I mean, you can exaggerate it. But even this, you can exaggerate. It's very exaggerated
his
here.
His style, his look, it worked for Dreamgirls because Dreamgirls is not about anything crazy. It's about women who become musicians, who become singers, and their career. Like, that's what it's about. That's it. You know,
it's like it's realistic. It's reality.
It's grounded in reality. It just happens to be a musical. You know, and it's one of those musicals where the music is sort of a natural progression because they're singers. You know, so it only makes sense that songs would come out of that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good fit for a movie musical about a beast with a talking candelabra and clock. It doesn't make any sense. You know, and Bill Condon himself was like, this movie is perfect. Why would we remake this?
I don't know. Like I said on Facebook, then don't, asshole.
So the thing is like...
Sorry for the language.
Yeah, the thing is like, this movie needed to be big and spectacular. And there are moments. This movie is, again, it's about a girl who falls in love with a beast that has a talking candelabra and a clock. You can't make that dark and gritty, Zack Snyder. You know what I mean? Like, you can't... Not that this movie was trying to be dark and gritty, but it was trying to be grounded in reality. And you can't do that. Like, that's not how that works. So like, that's what really frustrated me about this movie, is that, like, it never embraced how much fun the movie is, how much fun Beauty and the Beast is, what a fun idea it is, and how big an idea it is. You know? It's weird. It's a weird movie. I felt like the parts where it was really embracing its movie musicalness, it worked the best. The end part Be Our Guest, there's lights and color, and like Cogsworth pops out of like a miniature Taj Mahal wearing a little hat, and Lumiere pops out of the top of it, and like a bunch of dishes pop up behind him, and like he's walking down steps, and the light is changing, and like things are, it's like confetti. It's crazy, and it's awesome because the movie becomes this unabashed movie musical about talking, singing objects, and that's where a lot of the problems, I think, were lying. The movie is shot like Dreamgirls. The movie is shot like it takes place in the real world.
There was a shot in Belle where like the camera was just spinning with her, and I'm like,
oh my god, okay, yeah, I really didn't like that.
That was
so
weird.
In the original movie, she's singing to the sheep. What is it? It's where it's my favorite part, because you'll see, she's talking to the sheep, like, which makes her a little weird, but at least she's talking to somebody.
Yeah.
In this movie, she's standing in the middle of the village, spinning in a circle with the camera spinning around her, singing to no one. She's talking to no one about this book she's reading. And that frustrated me a lot. That was not motivated camera movement. Mm-hmm. The camera was moving for no reason other than Belle was spinning. And I kept complaining about how like a musical number in a movie musical needs to have motivated camera movement, and the camera needs to be moving all the time. Not all the time, but like I want the camera to be moving. It's like there's choreography, and it's not a stage where we can only see one. They can only do so much. This is a movie. Like the camera could be whipping back and forth between things happening, and we could be moving with Belle. Or like pushing in the original movie, if I'm not mistaken, as she's sitting on the fountain singing to the sheep about the book, the camera's pushing in on her. It's my favorite part because you'll see, and the camera's pushing in on her, the camera, quote unquote, because it's not really a camera because it's an animated movie, but like it's motivated movement, and it helps tell the story. In this, it was just a blurry background while we spun around Belle while she was standing in the middle of the street talking to nobody.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't want her to talk to sheep or whatever, or her chickens, because she abuses them later by throwing chicken feet on their heads violently.
Madame
Gaston, can you... His little wife. What was that? So, I think that was wrong. There's a moment in Gaston, in the Gaston sequence, which I thought was going to be the best one, and it turned out to be one of the weakest. There's a moment in that sequence where Gaston, or like, they just had like two cameras running. I think it's the first time they go, my, what a guy, that Gaston. And it goes just from one side of the thing to the other. Like the camera cuts from one side to the other, and it's completely unmotivated. There's no reason to cut there. There's no reason to have that angle. All I see is LeFou, and then like a bunch of people stand around him out of focus because we're just focusing on LeFou. In the original film, we get my, what a guy, that Gaston, and they clink glasses in time with the music. Da, da, da.
That's a cool visual.
It's a great visual, and like the beer, like slopping through the air or whatever, however, And in this movie, and then the other thing too, in the original film, Gaston hops into his chair and goes, I use antlers in all of my decorating.
Yeah,
and
here,
the camera,
like,
he hops into his chair made out of like antlers, like horns and pelts, yeah. And which is sitting on a rug that's a bear. And the camera like zooms out, like it does like a crash zoom out, and the whole wall behind him is filled with animal heads and antlers. And the picture frame with him in it is made of antlers. Like, it's a funny gag, this visual gag. In this movie, when he says, I use antlers in all of my decorating.
All I saw antler-wise was, like, the chandeliers.
Yeah, that was it. And then, like, there's some wooden animal heads on the wall. They're not even, like real
they look
looking.
Like they're whittled
like,
out
yeah, they look like they're whittled out of wood. It's so lame. And, like, it's like, dude, you're not intimidating.
That's better, because
what?
meant that no animals got killed.
Well, yeah, but
you could make
just
a fake head of a deer.
They're not gonna they're not gonna kill real animals to do that for the movie.
Anna as our resident animal advocate.
They'll make
Oh, I will
props.
agree. I was very frustrated when she was abused of the chickens with the chicken feed.
Uh,
And she hardly fed them too. She didn't even get like a whole handful. She just like got like there were like 8 pieces of
You
chicken
know
feed.
what?
And she
Who
was
fed
like,
the chickens when they're off with the beast?
yeah,
my
who
concern.
did, huh? Who did?
Just kidding.
I don't know.
Gaston, maybe. No, I don't know. But
Um,
anyway, like that really bothered me.
they-
It's just a plain angle on Gaston. This is a movie musical. You know, you watch a movie
the
like
mob.
the
mob-
producers and the musical numbers have motivated camera movement, and they're big musical numbers. Like there's the number I want to be a producer. There's like a huge for like, and it's not. They don't have to explain why that's happening. They don't need a freaking feather duster that can fly. Which why can't it fly?
'Cause
It's a
made
feather
out of- 'cause it's
duster.
made out of feathers.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, why can the feather duster fly? You don't need a feather duster flying with a stupid metal dish to reflect moonlight to make a spotlight on Lumiere. In a movie musical that wouldn't take itself so self-seriously like this one did, you would just have a spotlight on Lumiere with no motivation for it. Like, it would just be there because it's a movie musical. Like, you can do dramatic things like that without having to explain them. And I think that was the biggest thing for me that frustrated me about, like, the big dance numbers. And I think, like, my thing is that the songs, like, they were weakly directed. Like, there was just not a lot going on visually except the end of Be Our Guest.
The mob song
And
was meh.
The mob song was meh. And the problem
But
with
they
the
added
movie,
women to it, so.
They added women to it, so that made it better, I guess. You know,
Which is why it looks like there was like hundreds upon
yeah,
hundreds
like
of
1,000 people. I mean, like, what is that? You know, like,
I've never seen a village that big.
yeah, it's huge. And, like,
That's like a town. That's a small town.
yeah,
That's not
and
a
it
village.
made the big battle sequence at the end very strange. I don't know if I said this earlier, but like, it made it weird because it was like, it felt like we had, you know, just a handful of inanimate objects fighting against thousands of village people. Like, I was like, they're not gonna win. Like, all those people could just run through in one big wave and get to the top of the stairs.
I'm not
and kill
saying
the
they
beast.
shouldn't have added women or anything. I'm just
No,
saying.
yeah,
like,
I think it was just like that was
there was
another
just
thing.
way
that they
more
did.
people than
Yeah,
there should have been.
it was like, why wasn't the village smaller? I would have bought that because there was so many people. It was weird that the women went. It was weird that the men didn't go, stand back. There's a beast. We'll handle it. Because then, like, it would have made more sense that all the men said, no, we'll go take care of it. If it was a small village, I would have bought that the women went with them. Because, like, there's not enough people to go kill the beast if they don't use everybody, every available
Yeah.
man, woman, and child.
But like there was like hundreds upon hundreds.
There
of
was like
people.
100. There was hundreds of people. It was like nuts. I just feel like the scenes that were musical numbers were kind of weak, and then the scenes between them were so boring that it was like.
I'm trying to go through all the songs.
Okay. So let's talk about the new songs.
Yeah, the ones that were written for
Um,
this, which were boring and forgettable.
Okay, let's not talk about them. They're pretty boring. I liked
Well,
the
no,
live
they-
action version of Out There from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah, okay. The Beast has his own song.
Yeah. And he's just-
When Belle leaves
Yeah.
to go save her dad, and like it was literally like when it was over, I felt like it was just like Out There from Hunchback.
And dude, I just realized it ends the same way. A dramatic camera shot that pulls away from the hero on top of the castle, on top of the building, and then zooms back in on the other subject that we're now going to follow. That's exactly
Yeah.
what the heck. Although
Yeah.
I gotta say that was one of my favorite shots in the movie was the end of the Beast song.
Yeah,
there.
that was
that was a good
cool.
shot.
That was good.
Um,
But yeah, after that I was like, it was like that, but also like again like Stars from Les Mis.
yeah.
Because he's walking along.
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, like where this
Also,
sort of-
because France.
Yeah, that was weird. Les Mis is a weird movie.
Also, you
But
heard a
at
crunch
least-
sound like at the end when
yeah.
Javert
Yeah,
dies.
when
When
Javert
Gaston died,
breaks his back.
you heard
I
a,
love
like
the
a
little
smack.
thud, yeah.
You heard like a thud. Like I can just assume he's dead. You don't have to show me the thud.
Yeah. So.
Like that song was like, I don't remember anything about it other than that it was like Out There. There was a song where like it starts off with a flashback of like the Beast's mom dying.
That was so funny.
And then it's like little kid version of him singing, and then that song was on for like a minute, and then it was over.
That was so short. Yeah. I thought that was Emma Watts' best singing though. in that song.
Yeah, because she didn't sing very
She
much.
didn't sing very much, and it was she didn't have to try and
I
belt.
was listening to Audra McDonald singing that song.
She didn't have to belt like Belle, like new and a bit alarming.
Yeah.
Like she has to, like Pedro O'Hara belts that out, and here
She probably isn't even belting it out. She just knows how to use her diaphragm.
And the like Emma Watson here is very much like singing. It's so strange. I really.
What else is there? I'm trying to think of
I
other
don't know.
songs. There was a song that they're the everyone in the castle sings.
It's the same one.
Was it
What,
that
Be Our
one?
Guest?
It's that one. No, not Be Our Guest. It's the one where the Beast is like.
Oh,
he's
okay,
a little
then-
kid. And then,
Okay,
like,
then
It's
that's
that
the
same
song. That's the song. Human Again is a better song.
Human
than that one.
Again, way better song. And I think if you have the diamond, whatever edition it is of the Blu-ray for Beauty and the Beast, there's a version of the movie that has Human Again put back into it.
Human
For those of
Again
you who
is
don't know,
a much
yeah.
better song.
Human Again is a sequence from the original film that they didn't get to put in the finished film, but they had fully recorded, and they had animated some of it. But they decided to cut it. But they finished it and put it back in. And honestly, it's one of those additions that I think actually helps the movie. Much like if you're fans of animation listening to this, go pick up Beauty and the Beast on Blu-ray and watch it with that, because that's a good addition. And another animated movie that has good additions that they put in afterwards, where they had recorded everything, they just didn't finish animating, is The Iron Giant. Which just recently, like last year or maybe the year before, came out on Blu-ray with that full edition, I think, and it also works really well. Those are good examples of adding stuff to the story. Very small things, not huge things. Like the stuff in Iron Giant is literally like 2 scenes where there's like a tiny bit of dialogue that we don't get that adds more to the characters, and then a scene where we learn more about the giant. And then Beauty and the Beast, Human Again, that's it. There's nothing else that they put in there.
Yeah.
But
that song was very much like Human Again.
Yeah, it was.
But
They're
Human
all,
Again
like,
is a better
It's
song.
a much better song. Yeah.
There's like one more, because there's like 4 new songs, I think, in this movie.
Yeah.
So there's that one. There was the Beast song. I don't know. I don't remember.
It was just
Oh, the one at the beginning that Audra McDonald sang for like 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, it was lame.
Oh, okay. Something There.
Oh, Something There. Yeah.
Oh man, that was bad.
Okay, so there's a part in Something There.
That was the whole song.
Well, okay, yeah.
It was the whole song.
Yeah, the whole thing was pretty lame. First of all, I didn't like that they were actually singing out loud.
Yeah, they're actually singing like.
That bothered me so much, because I'm like, so what are the rules here? Can they not hear each other, or what's up? Because like Beast is straight up singing about how he loves Belle and how he thinks she loves him in front of her face, like a foot away from her. And then the other thing that you don't see in the clip that's online, but when it goes to Lumiere and Cogsworth and all them, singing to each other, they're like 10 feet away from them, singing at full volume. It's like, can they not hear them? Like, why wouldn't they tell them, hey guys, get the hell out of here?
To some people, that might sound weird that we're saying that it's weird.
Yeah, because
like,
it's a musical, so why would that be weird? But like, those are internal thoughts. The Beast is singing,
That's why in the animated film they're not singing, but you
They're
can
not
tell by
singing.
the expressions on their faces.
That's what they're thinking.
That's what they're thinking.
Like she looked this way. I thought I saw. What is it?
When we touched, she didn't.
And when we
shudder.
touched, she didn't shudder at my paw. In the original film, she's literally touching his arm in that moment, and he sings. And when she touched, she didn't. And when we touched, she didn't shudder at my paw. And in this one, they're literally on opposite sides of a table, and he sings that line.
Sings that,
and it's
then like gets up and goes to sit next to her.
Yeah, it was like, what is this? What? Like what? Like what is this movie? Yeah, and then there's another part in the song where she. So yeah, like if you did that on stage, you would have them either
they're on opposite sides of the stage,
so that
or they're
not
on
singing to each
different
other.
levels.
Or they're on different levels. Or you have one of them break away from the scene, change the lighting, like put a spotlight on them or something.
That's how you would.
So that way you can let the audience know.
distinction.
Yeah, this is an internal monologue. This is like a soliloquy. This is not something they're literally saying out loud.
This is like, alas, poor Yorick.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is
Speaking of Shakespeare.
Yeah.
They mentioned Shakespeare in this movie.
Yeah, quite a few times.
And like.
So just to talk about something there really quickly. One last bit before we move on to the next thing. There's a moment. What's the thing she says where she does new? No. Yeah, and a bit alarming. I also hate how she does a lot of talk singing when the original Paige O'Hara would be like new
She holds
and
notes.
a bit alarming, whereas like Emma Watson does it kind of like new and a bit alarming, and it's like what is that?
It doesn't sound good.
It sounds weird because it's not written to be sung that way. But anyway, so in that part, what did she say? New and a bit alarming. Who'd have ever thought that this could be? Okay, so when you're singing, anybody who's ever been in a musical before in theater, you've probably had a musical director who told you, open your mouth. Make your mouth round. If you've ever been in choir in school, that's what they tell you. Open your mouth, make your mouth round, because no one's gonna hear you if you don't open your mouth. Right now, I'm opening my mouth and articulating.
Because that also helps with using your diaphragm.
Yeah.
Because if you use your diaphragm correctly and you open your mouth, more sound comes out.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in the song, Emma Watson.
Okay, now I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now I know what you're talking about.
So in the song,
man.
Emma Watson is singing it properly to a degree. She's opening her mouth.
Well, clearly she was when she was recording.
When she was recording it, yeah. So
you can at least tell
yeah,
that.
when she was recording it in the studio, she was singing new and a bit alarming. Who'd have ever thought that this could be? Like, she says that. In the film, we've got a close-up on her face, and when she's doing the lip sync...
they're lip syncing.
Yeah, that's how they do it in movie musicals. They record the
Unless
song...
they're like, we're singing it live on set, guys.
Like Les Mis, yeah. It's like, we're singing live on set. It's not a bad thing. It just helps. It's easier to do. Because you can lock in the voices first. Anyway, so we're close-up on her face. When she says... Who'd have ever thought that this could be? When she says the word "could,"
her
you
mouth
can clearly
is not
see
open.
Her teeth are like touching.
She's like It's like she's just saying it like could, but like no one says "could" with their teeth, like with their
what and it just does not sync up. It looks weird because if you
and I watched a review where someone said that like her lip syncing is really bad and that irritated them and like her lip syncing is not
like
good.
if you sing could you have to open your mouth, you have to separate your teeth. Could be. And Emma Watson, if like clearly she sang it that way with her mouth open, but in the lip sync,
even not with like making your mouth into an O, it's just your jaw has to drop.
Yeah, you just open your mouth. And like that, if you sang it the way she lip syncs it, it wouldn't sound like that. It would sound stupid.
Be like, who'd have ever thought that this could be like,
and that's not
like if dude.
It's weird.
That's one of the things where like
I know
any choir teacher who's gonna watch this or like any music director for anything is gonna be like, why is she not opening her mouth?
I know.
She's opening her mouth.
And I know it sounds like we're being kind of nitpicky about this one thing, but it's something that stands out. It's something that doesn't look good. And this is Disney. They have
like
millions
this is musical 101
of dollars to put into this movie, and that doesn't look good. Like, it doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. Like, the magic that you feel when you watch the original film it's not there. It's not there in this movie. And it's very clear why, because they're just trying to remake the movie. They're not trying to do something new with it. But anyway, let's move on. So let's talk about the look of the movie. So that could include like the special effects, so any of the CG characters, and then also just the look of the movie in general. Because we already touched on the directing, so we don't necessarily have to talk about that again. So for instance, I just gotta say right away, yeah, the colors are very bland. And I gotta say,
even when there's brightness, like all the colors just mix together because everyone's wearing really detailed
intricate
patterns.
Things, and then like.
Also,
that was the thing about the CG characters.
Also, why is everyone else wearing blue?
Yeah, that was weird.
They talked about that in the sibling rivalry video too.
Yeah, again,
because they know.
Well, but it's just that's something you do in animation, and that's something you do in film.
Well, yeah, like Schindler's List.
Yeah. Well, like so, for example, in the Edgar Wright film *The World's End*, okay, we have these villains called the Blanks. And the Blanks as we find out later, they're all about recycling and about keeping things green. And they have blue blood. They're these robots with like blue goop inside of them. So as an omen for the blanks, certain characters who are human at the beginning of the film that then later turn into blanks, they're wearing blue. And when we get into the town where the blanks, these alien robots have invaded, all the cars are like blue or green, and then like there's a bunch of recycling bins that are blue or green. Colors are important in film.
I think a lot of the buildings are green too.
Yeah, there's a lot of green and stuff in the movie. There's even like a green bathroom. The first bathroom that the fight scene is in, there's a green bathroom, but that's almost like an homage to the Warriors. But anyway, that's just an example. Color is important in film.
Again, like Schindler's List.
Schindler's List is a good example. It's black and white, and then the really important things get highlighted in red. And this movie, like in the original film, Belle is the only one who wears blue, and then the only other person who wears blue in the film is the Beast. And he only wears blue when he is standing upright and is dancing with her. That's when he wears blue, And that's important because we need to know that Belle is different from the town. Belle has to stand out from the rest of the town. She's wearing white, like a lot of the other people, but she's also wearing blue. And the blue makes her stand out, And the other thing that makes her stand out is her brown hair. She has brown hair, and the Babettes, basically the other three women in the town that are her age,
are
blonde, It just makes Belle stand out. It's an important thing. Like for visually, for the movie to work, that's an important thing. When you are trying to make your main character distinct from everybody else, and you put them in blue, and then you put
really
other
the
characters
only
in blue.
distinction of Belle in this movie is it's Emma Watson.
Yeah,
like it's Hermione.
Like we would.
That's how she's different from everyone.
We would have been better off with one of the Babette chicks being Belle, honestly, because they could sing better.
Yeah, they had harmonies in the songs that were alright.
So just like the colors in this movie were really gross looking.
Sometimes it felt like I was watching a Zack Snyder movie.
That is the thing. So we looked
the color was just taken out,
like
sucked out,
flat and like bleh, like there's nothing happening, and like some of the characters that you might argue have color, but the backgrounds just like they just fade away. They're nothing. In the original movie, it's an animated film, so everything has to look good. All the shots, they draw them in storyboards first, so that they can like map out what's gonna make the shots look the best. And it doesn't quite work here. They're not doing anything interesting. A lot of the shots are pretty boring, except in the musical numbers. And even in the musical numbers, they're pretty boring, except certain moments where he does something creative, or he does like some nice like framing that lets you see
even
a
then
good moment.
I highly doubt that he actually like told him what to do for the Be Our Guest scene.
Yeah.
Someone else probably directed that.
So speaking of Be Our Guest, I think like a lot of the animated characters, a lot of the CG characters, too intricate. A lot of the time I'm like, I don't know what is going on with this character.
Sometimes I could not tell what was their face and what was like not.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I sound like an old man, but it just is like, what is this? Who are these characters? They're nothing. They're like just there's so much happening. It's like, why isn't it just like he have like a top hat, and then the top hat is what holds the candle? Like, why does he have to have like a mustache and then like little curly cues for eyebrows and like little curly cues under his eyes and then little curly cues as his eye sockets?
Because that's the Baroque style, Skylar.
Like, why does everything have to be all crazy intricate? And then when he dies too, I was saying, everybody like dies all slow, and then they're just like, and then like Lumiere's like, I'll be all dramatic, goodbye, and then he does like this crazy spin. Why does he get like the cool spin dramatic death, and everybody else says like this sad like
they're choking?
Yeah. Also, F you movie. Like, why are you like, okay, we know everyone's gonna live, so let's just trick the audience for 8 seconds and make them think Chip is gonna shatter into a million pieces and die. Like, what was that?
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Messed up. Like, I don't even know. Anyway,
wait, what are we talking about?
Okay, so we're on like the directing and the look.
That's we'll talk about that with story.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, so the other thing about the directing is no one in this movie, even Josh Gad, who is a Broadway actor, like, he barely does it a little bit. I think it's because Bill Condon's directing and the way Bill Condon shot it. I think actually if he shot it differently, I think Josh Gad would have been 10 times better. like, no one in this movie is acting when they're singing.
Yeah.
They're standing there and singing. The big example, like the thing that hit me really hard straight out of the gate in the movie, when the Babettes are singing, look there, Gaston, isn't he dreamy? Look there, Gaston. Oh, he's so cute. Like that whole bit, they're just standing there. Like they come out of the little building
They're
and
not
they stand
doing
there.
anything.
They're not moving. Like if I was directing this, if I was directing this on stage or in film, I would have them like be, like touching each other,
Holding
and
their chest.
like holding their chest on. What's the line about be still, my heart. Yeah,
they do that in the animated film, and maybe they did do it in this, but I don't remember.
Well, like, I don't know, because when they sing that line, it's a reverse. We're looking at Gaston, and their shoulders aren't moving. It doesn't look like they're breathing or singing. Like they're just standing there stiff as a board. And then when we cut back to the reverse, they're still just standing there singing the, tall, dark, handsome brute.
Because in the animated film, like they're leaning against that like well.
Yeah, the pump well.
Yeah.
And
like it's moving because they're on top of it, and it moves up and down, and like their boobs are moving because they're hoes.
Yeah. And it's like it just like no one is no one's moving. Like I can't do it in podcast, but like they would be touching each other. Holding their chest, like be still my heart, and looking at each other while they sing for one line,
like
and
back
then,
to back, like ah.
Yeah, back to back on that last line.
Maybe one of them slides down a wall and it's like, ah.
Yeah, but they don't do that. They just walk it and then they sing.
Yeah.
And then there's another moment at the end of the song where as Belle is walking, like in the original film, it makes sense. She's walking and she's reading the book. Everyone's walking behind her. And then when the song ends, she turns around and like, everyone goes back to normal.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen. Also, that song didn't end.
It didn't
just
end.
Faded.
It was weird. But so the thing I'm talking about is Belle's walking in the middle of the crowd, and for a second during the song, everyone just stops moving. And they're all looking at Belle.
Yeah, it was hard because right before that, everyone is moving at the same time.
Yeah.
And because there are other people wearing blue, I could not tell where she was until everyone stopped moving.
It was weird. It was so weird. It was just a strange thing. But yeah, the directing of the actors was, I thought, weak, and I thought the direction of the like the visuals was weak, like the framing, and I just thought the look of the movie was pretty bland. Like the colors were not good. Well, I'll talk about it in compare and contrast, but like the colors in this movie and the colors in the original movie are so vastly different, and it makes all the difference in the world. But let's move on. So the story is lame. It's the same story.
It's the same story. The thing that makes it lame is like whoever wrote this felt like everything needed a backstory.
Yeah. So,
like literally everything.
So Anna put it pretty like perfect when we were discussing it right after seeing the movie. Like I think this was the biggest issue with the movie, honestly. Everything, it was like the person who wrote it was like, we need to explain everything.
It was like fan fiction. It's like, I think this is what would happen.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna write a cool backstory.
So the opening monologue in the original film is...
We just watched it too. We just watched the original opening. Gives me chills.
It's so succinct. It's direct. It tells you everything you need to know. It tells you all the information you need to know. Prince, he's a dick. The enchantress comes in as an old lady, and then he's like, no, F you. And then she's like, take my rose. And he's like, F you. And then she's like, I'm actually pretty. You're cursed. Now you're a beast. When you're 21, if the last petal will fall. If you can't find love, you'll stay a beast forever. I'll also change the castle to make it ugly and all your servants into whatever. That's it. That's all we get. Who could ever learn to love? That's all you need to know. I don't care. Like, there's this really clunky line in the new one where Emma Thompson is like...
Because she's the narrator.
Yeah, she's the narrator now. For some reason. Like, there's this really clunky line where she's like... She also enchanted the town to make everyone forget about the castle. And I'm like...
Why?
I don't care. Like, I don't...
My thing is like, why?
What? Yeah, why? Like, everyone would stay away by virtue of the fact that there's talking objects and a beast that could kill him. I don't care why they forgot. They forgot. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Like, it straight up didn't matter. Like,
well, because in the original, like, that castle was, like, dormant for years. Like, of course no one's gonna know it's there because nobody goes in or out.
Yeah, like it you know.
That doesn't need. There
What
doesn't
they,
need
you
to
know
be
what
a
they
reason.
could have done? What they could have done was have it be like a generation later. Maybe there's no just this thing of like, I thought it would be cool if there was like some old woman who knew legends of the castle, whatever, you know, but like no one really believed her, or whatever. Like the character that they tried to make up, which also that was stupid. That was dumb.
What?
The old beggar woman who then is actually the enchantress.
Oh yeah, that was like unnecessary.
Yeah, it was dumb.
She was the character that didn't need to be there.
It just the story, it is perfectly like it's such a tight script, that original movie, and this is like, wait, no, we need to know that Gaston was in a war. It's like all the lines that gave us backstory felt so arbitrary. It was like, ever since the war, I've done
really,
whatever, and it's
really
like, what, it didn't
forced,
come into
too.
play. Like, yeah,
Really forced
yeah.
too.
It just, I don't know. It was a big
Also,
problem
like,
for me.
now that I'm thinking about it, like, okay, so Mrs. Potts and Chip got trapped in the castle, but Mr. Potts didn't.
Yeah, why didn't Mr. Potts? Did he not work at the castle?
So like
Isn't he the baker?
he got out. He
Oh,
was
was he?
just some
No,
guy.
he wasn't the baker. Because in the original movie, the baker is the one who says, "Good morning, Belle." But Mr. Potts in this one is the one who says, "Good morning, Belle," after she sings about the baker.
And then he's like, I forgot something, but I don't remember what it is.
And then, oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, remember
I
when
just realized.
Yeah.
That's so stupid. I am so mad.
He forgot his wife and child.
That is so dumb.
Trivialize our relationship.
I know, yeah. I'm so mad. That makes me mad.
Like, because they add all these extra characters. So, like, they add Mr. Potts.
They give everybody.
They give everyone a
romantic
significant
partner.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah.
he got one,
Yeah.
or Mrs. Potts got a husband because she needed a husband for some reason. Cogsworth had, like, a wife, apparently, that he didn't want to have. Because then when the wife comes back, he's like,
God damn.
he's like, oh no.
A wizard doesn't have a wife.
Yeah, like, he looked like he wanted to kill himself.
He's like, man, I wanted Lumiere.
The other gay character in the film. Gay.
Audra McDonald and Stanley Tucci are married
Yeah, but they
in
can't
this-
see each other because the
because
wardrobe
she's a
can't
wardrobe
come downstairs.
upstairs, and he's
But then she does in the climax, so I don't understand.
whatever.
Also, I didn't get the geography of the castle.
Also, the piano could move. Like, he walked.
He climbed up
climbed
the
door.
That was horrifying.
What? I don't understand. Also, so the geography of the castle in the original film, you don't need to see the whole castle, but you know exactly where the foyer is, where the west wing is, where the east wing is, where Belle is, and where the ballroom is. Like, you walk
And you go
through
there in
the
Kingdom
foyer.
Hearts.
Yeah, you go there in Kingdom Hearts. But
Well,
anyway.
I mean, I'm saying it's easy to figure out
Well, yeah,
the layout.
it's a simple layout. Like, it's not complicated. In this movie, I don't know where the hell anything was. It was just insane. Like, and again, not that that's important,
Well, also,
but knowing the geography
also
is
because,
important.
well,
Like,
also it's hard to tell because they add to this story that like the castle starts to crumble every time a petal falls,
that was
and like
dumb.
that's how everyone in the castle knows a petal has fallen because.
It's like, did they need to know that? Do they need to know? Like, why don't they all just go check on the beast?
Also, the story they added Belle's mother's backstory.
I thought that could have been interesting. Like, a lot of those moments
the
I thought
beast's
could have been
mother's
really good.
backstory.
Oh, yeah, that was weird. Also, okay, there's a moment in this movie that I thought was dumb, that was weird, that I thought was goofy. So they go to where Belle's mom died. Belle's mom had the
in
plague.
Paris.
She had the plague,
They used
right?
to live in Paris when she's like a baby. The mother has the
Makes
plague.
them so cultured. I think that was like their explanation for why they were smart and different.
Because they were from Paris. Yeah.
So everyone in the country is an idiot.
Everyone in the
apparently.
country is, like, stupid.
That's why she knew how to read.
So-
Oh yeah, and then there was that random arbitrary scene where she taught that little girl how to read.
And then everyone was a dick.
and
they
then
were
and
like,
then the schoolmaster's like, we
You-
already have one woman who knows how to read in this place.
we're going to rip out her eyeballs.
Well,
Yeah.
like, why? How come the schoolmaster was like that? Like, because they changed the scene where Belle and Gaston are talking to each other. Because that's
Yeah.
the scene where he proposes.
Yeah.
But like they changed it, and it was just weird and came out of nowhere.
Because she was like an inventor, no?
Yeah, she was.
She invented one thing, and that was it. So, like, who cares? Like, why was that in there?
Like, it's not like she's Violet Baudelaire tying her hair up doing invention every 10 minutes.
They made such a big deal about that. They're like, we added that she's an inventor. And I'm like, she made a laundry...
She made a washing machine.
It's like the Joker in Suicide Squad.
But that was it.
Yeah, it was. They were like, the Joker's in it, guys. Don't worry, he's in it. And then everyone's like, that's going to suck. And then they're like, no, we swear he's going to be good. And then he sucked, and he was in it for 5 seconds. And this one, it's like, she's an inventor. And it's like, that sounds dumb. And it's like, no, it's going to be good, we swear. And then it was dumb, and she was an inventor for 5 seconds. That was lame. It just was a lame movie. Honestly, I don't know why people would like this. I don't. I really don't. It wasn't very good. Yeah, like, a lot of the people I know on Facebook have been posting, like, glowing reviews or whatever. And I'm just like, it's not great. Like, I don't know why people would be all, ooh. The nostalgia didn't even hit me. There were a couple moments where, like, I was like, oh, you might get me. You might hit me right here, movie.
Talk about the Be Our Guest, you know? Like, how it just, like, I feel like they tried to recreate it, like, shot for shot or something like that. But then it just wasn't, like, it didn't have the magic.
Yeah, that original movie, I don't think you see Be Our Guest coming in the original movie. It's a very slow build up to Be Our Guest. But in this movie, it feels like, it almost felt like Be Our Guest, they were like, okay, get ready. Get ready, Be Our Guest is coming, get ready.
Well, yeah, it also felt like that because the movie was long as hell.
Yeah, and you're right, like Be Our Guest, the original film, is a very magical sequence. And part of that is because it's one of the first movies to use, like, CG and 2D together. This is excluding, like, you know, like The Great Mouse Detective, which uses it very effectively in its climactic
Or like Little Mermaid,
film.
too.
Yeah, or Little Mermaid does, yeah, with the ship and the staircase, which stand out pretty badly, honestly.
Well, yeah, now
they didn't age, those didn't age very well, but Beauty and the Beast aged very well, I think, because you can tell now, but back then you couldn't tell. But they look good. It works. Yeah. Whereas in Beauty in Little Mermaid, when she runs down those stairs and it's all CG, it's very jarring. It doesn't look quite right. But in this movie, the ballroom shot, that's an amazing shot, and it still looks good. Like, it still looks really good. They integrated it so well. But yeah, I think Be Our Guest, it feels very, I don't know what the word, empty. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean empty like there's not a lot going on screen, because there is a lot going on screen.
There was a part, and I guess there was a running joke in there that, like, she didn't get to eat.
I guess there was.
'Cause, like,
it happens once.
They kept like putting her hands down and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a part where she's trying to reach for stuff, and, like, I could tell that there was nothing there when they actually shot it. Because it looked like she looked like she wasn't even trying.
Yeah.
Or like it's like he didn't tell her what to do. It was just like, just grab it stuff next to you on one side and the other. Okay.
Yeah. It loses a lot of magic. So one of my big problems with the movie, I think it's what your problem is, Anna, with, like, Be Our Guest and the whole movie itself. It feels like a bunch of fans made a live action fan made version of the movie. It doesn't feel like they're trying to make this movie. When they first made the movie, they were trying to tell a good story, make a good movie. And this, it feels like the pressure of trying to do justice to the original animated film just got to them, you know, because it just feels like soulless. Like, there's no heart, you know. It's a heartless, you know. When you walk away.
Remember when Zelda wanted to turn the beast into a heartless?
Yeah. That was awesome.
That was good.
The plot.
That's a good plot. That's a good story.
The story arc, the emotion, the characters in the Kingdom Hearts 2 plot when you go to the Beauty and the Beast world is way better than this movie. Like, not to say that a video game can't have a good story arc, but, like, that, I mean, that should just tell you everything you need to know. But it's using the same characters. Yeah, it's using the same characters, changing the story up a bit, telling a really effective emotional story, you know, like, it still works.
Also, Belle does stuff in that story.
Let's compare and contrast, since we're sort of moving in. So, this movie doesn't have a lot of quiet moments. And the original film has quiet moments. Yeah, very effectively.
There are parts where people don't say anything, but you can see the emotions on people's on the faces.
The thing. The animation is so good in the original film. Like, the character animation in that movie is amazing. I mean, you feel for these characters. You feel for Lumiere and Cogsworth, you know? you care.
Because you
about
can
them.
see their faces.
Yeah, you can see their damn faces. That was one of my big problems. Was like I don't know what to look at. I don't know what I'm looking at. Like the only time I really
Like, sure,
knew,
it's goofy that, like, a candlestick has, like, a face on it, or, like, a wardrobe has, like, a face on it, but, like, they need faces so I can see their expressions.
Yeah, it needs to be a little simpler. And I'm not saying, I know, like, if you directly translated the character designs from the original film into live-action CG, that would look weird because there's not a lot of detail. I'm not saying don't put more detail. I'm just saying this was, like, excessive. There's so much going on just, like, Lumiere's face alone. I don't know what I'm looking at sometimes.
Well, and I guess to go back to, like, story, well, and also compare and contrast, like, again, also just adding scenes that didn't need to be there because it made the movie longer.
Yeah.
They ruined the one moment that I thought would have got me at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, okay, every time I watch the original movie, I, like, legit cry at the end because when she says I love you, like, that whole part, because it's quiet and it's just them talking and you just hear rain falling and stuff, like, that gets me.
Yeah.
Like, every time. Another adaptation that gets me every time is Beastly, because legit, like, I mean, they're in a room with a bunch of other people and, like, they're being stared at and stuff, but it's quiet because she's walking away and then she turns around and says I love you.
Yeah.
But it's quite like it's just those two characters. But this, like, I thought maybe it would make me, like, well up with tears or something, because I always cry at the end of Beauty and the Beast, but I didn't. And that's because, like, she's staring at him and he's dying. She doesn't say anything. The last petal falls because she doesn't say anything.
Yeah, was so frustrating.
And then they cut to all this
depressing scene.
Everyone in the castle, like, turning into their objects for... I thought that was also a weird detail. Like, why was that in there?
Yeah.
Like one, the castle's also crumbling, but also they are slowly turning more into objects, which is a cool idea.
But why? But because I know they're gonna be human again.
Yeah, that's
so
the
why
problem.
Show me that? Like, why would you cut in the middle of this emotional moment between Belle and the Beast, and then show me this horrifying scene that is going to scar children?
Yeah, because, like,
for no reason,
like,
other than to make them cry.
Who goes first? The feather duster goes first.
First the feather duster, which is sad. Like, like, that made me sad.
Yeah, that made me sad.
I was like, no, because, like, Lumiere's like, my love, why can't you
no.
move? And then she's like, and then he's like,
oh no. And then I think Audrey McDonald goes next.
And
she, like, closes the door. She's like, goodbye, my love. And then like that's
I'm like,
it.
oh my God.
And then Sally Tucci is like, oh no, my love. And then
the dog is like,
yeah.
And then the one that I was like, why are you doing this?
And then Mrs. Potts is like, where's Chip? Oh my God,
where's my
Chip?
son?
Have you seen my son? And then she just, like,
her face disappears. And then Chip is
and then Cogs with Lumiere like, oh crap. And then you hear Chip going like, I'm here, and then
he's like he falls. He turns into the cup.
As he turns into the cup,
his saucer breaks, like, it shatters.
You think he's gonna die,
and then, like, the movie for like 8 seconds is like, Chip is gonna die. We are gonna kill a child in Beauty and the Beast. And then I was like,
and then I felt sad.
Yeah,
and then I felt sad because then the coat hanger catches him, puts him on the thing, and then becomes a coat hanger. Yeah, and I'm like, that character had no lines, but I still felt sad for it.
He was so nice. He saved Chip. He's like, be with your mother in death. Goodbye.
and then it was very disturbing seeing Cogsworth turn into a clock.
Oh my God,
like, for real.
He had to do like the Titanic, like, you know, it was my pleasure to serve with you, old friend.
And then he sputters.
And then Lumiere, like I said earlier, Lumiere gets like everyone gets this like
horrifying,
they don't get
dramatic death.
They don't get to, like, say goodbye really. They just go goodbye, and then Lumiere's like, it is my time to go. Dramatic spin, and then he's, you know, back to normal. And I'm like, what is this? So, okay, beyond that scene being horrifying and useless.
And then that cut back, and then you have the useless Enchantress character that they added in there. She doesn't say anything. She just stands there, watches Belle not say anything, watches the rose wilt and die. And then Belle finally says, I love you. But even then, her line delivery of that was like,
so okay.
I did not believe it. And then the Enchantress, I guess, was like, all right, well, you still said it. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah,
even though the spell technically, like, didn't get broken on time, I'm still going to change them all back to humans.
So I was really frustrated by that because the movie gives you a ticking clock from the get-go. In the original film, you get a ticking clock straight up. When the last petal falls, the Beast is screwed.
Yeah, everyone is screwed.
Everyone in that castle is screwed. And in this movie, same ticking clock. When that last petal falls, everyone's screwed.
But even more so now because you just added the stakes higher.
Yeah, because now they don't just get to live as inanimate objects. They're dead. Like, they're gone, you know?
And also the castle crumbles.
Yeah. But this movie, like, doesn't care. It's like, here's the ticking clock, and then it keeps cutting to this ticking clock. The last petal falls. She doesn't say I love you. And then we cut to this long-ass horrifying scene of people dying that I cannot get over. That did make me sad, but, like, in a frightened way. Not in, like, I'm sad.
Yeah, also because, like, they're photorealistic, so that's also terrifying.
Creepy. And then it cuts back, and I'm like, well, they're screwed, because now they're all dead, and, like, I don't understand. Like, it was stupid. Why put a ticking clock if it doesn't matter? Like,
yeah, if...
It stopped mattering. As soon as it fell and turned, it died.
Or, like, yeah,
Excuse
wilted.
me. As soon as that last petal wilted, like, when it hit the floor, I was like, well, that's it then. Like, they can't fix it.
But then also it's like, why are you taking forever to say I love you?
Yeah, he's dead.
She's like telling him like over and over like, come back, ah! And like,
didn't she know the spell? Did no one explain it to her in the movie?
No, she knows. They tell her in this movie. They tell her. They're like,
oh yeah, which was weird. That was so weird because
she's like,
they were like a foot away from the Beast, and they're like, oh, the Beast was actually really nice. Let me tell you about all of his childhood trauma right next to him that might make him uncomfortable.
And then she's like, I want to help you guys lift the curse.
Yeah.
And then they don't explain to her why, because like they obviously don't want to tell her like, oh, you have to fall in love with him.
Yeah.
But like she knows.
Yeah.
I mean, in the original film, she just kind of figures it out on her own because she's smart. Like that it's enchanted, obviously. But like this one, like she kind of knows, like kind of about the rose, but then she takes forever to say anything.
Yeah.
Like everyone dies, and then she's finally like, "I love you," but even then, it's not like
I don't know. I'm gonna quickly talk about the colors again. So, again, this film very muddy. The colors don't really mean anything. And in the original, like, so for example, I just hated how all the dark stuff looked. The castle's cursed, but like in this movie, I things were still white inside the castle. In the original film, but it was like grays and blacks, but it was white. You know, like things were white, which was annoying, but it was still really dark.
And then they gave her like a really pretty room.
Yeah,
like,
but then the original
everything was
film,
just dusty.
in the original film, the gargoyles that have taken over like the little angel cherub statues, they're like blue. They're dark blues and purples and blacks. You know, like they're distinct, vivid colors. They're still dark, but they're vivid colors. You know, and in this movie, it's like there's no. Sorry about that car. There's no. It's not distinct because it's still white, but they're gargoyles. But I'm like, it doesn't look scary. It doesn't look foreboding. You know, I don't know. That was one of my big issues with the movie. But anyway, I guess let's get to
moments that.
Okay, Mia is using the computer, so sorry about that.
Continue. Keep talking.
So check the time on that. So let's just move on to final thoughts. Honestly, my final thoughts. You know, I really am. I mean, it's basically exactly what I expected.
It's what we thought it was gonna
be. And it's Oh, okay. Oh. Dang. Okay.
They can deliver here.
Okay.
You just have to go wait outside.
Yeah. Okay, so final thoughts. The movie was basically what I thought it would be, and its biggest problem is that it's trying so hard to explain everything. Like it wants so very much to explain things that don't need explaining in the original film. And it's sad because like the simplicity of the original film is what adds to that story. I'm really disappointed, really disappointed.
Yeah,
it's a bummer.
I mean, I agree with what other people who haven't really liked it are saying. Like, if you were sold on this movie by the trailers, you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
And if you weren't, you're not gonna like it.
Yeah. It's very bland. It's bad.
I would hope though that if you want to show your kids this movie, show them the original first.
Yeah, just watch the original. There's no reason to watch this movie.
Yeah. It's regardless of what we say, it's gonna make money.
It's gonna make money. We gave
people
it
are gonna
money
go
today.
see it. Yeah.
Literally yesterday when I was trying to check the times for this morning, all of them were packed. Like all of them were basically booked.
I'm not looking forward to all these remakes because I feel like they'll just all be the same.
Yeah.
If they get a director like Bill Condon.
I think you need to get somebody with vision. I think that's the thing.
Get someone...
at the very least, whatever the hell Tim Burton's Dumbo with Will Smith is going to be, it's at least going to be interesting to look at.
And Guy Ritchie's...
And Guy Ritchie's Aladdin, I don't know, maybe they'll have cool scenes where Aladdin gets like magic powers from the genie where he can predict how a fight's going to go, and they do all that Sherlock Holmes stuff. I don't know, but at the very least with those movies... We have an interesting director at the helm who is going to do something visually that will be fun to watch. This is not fun to watch. This is like a chore, It's very much a chore because I've seen this movie before, in every beat, from beat to beat. And rearranging the sequences is jarring and pointless. There's no reason to have Gaston happen that early in the film, Pete Docter, I remember the director of Up, he talks about how in Up they had a big they were trying to figure out how often do we check in with our villain now that we've introduced our villain and we've separated him from our heroes. How often do we check in with him? And you shouldn't check in with your villain too often because your villain's not the main character. Your main characters are your main characters. We don't need to go straight back to the villain. And having Gaston happen in the first half of the movie. Why? Yeah. They load up the first half of the movie with all the songs we know.
Yeah, no.
None of the songs that are familiar except Beauty and the Beast
and the mob song.
And the mob song happen in the second half. And I guess something there is so like lame. It's not very distinct. It's something that sort of helps propel the story. It's not really a big musical number moment.
Honestly,
and I gotta say, Beauty and the Beast, the number itself, really lame, like poorly directed.
Yeah.
And you can't beat that original scene. I mean, it's...
And the dress is...
Yeah.
Not that great. Like, all these people are like, oh no, the trailers deceived you. Like, the dress is amazing and stuff. Like, it was just frillier than it is in the pictures, I think.
So, one of the last things I want to talk about that I haven't brought up in anything yet, but is something that I think is a testament to animation, like the effort that goes into animation, especially in making characters believable and creating an arc using animation, creating a story arc using animation, a character arc using animation, that they don't do in this film, that I think is a wasted opportunity to do something great. In the animated film, The Beast, at the beginning of the movie, he walks like a beast. He's on all fours. He's walking with his hands and his feet and his hind legs, He's on the floor. He's crouched over constantly. When Belle asks him to come into the light, he stands up and towers above her. He's not just hunched over in the darkness. In this movie, in the original film, after that, like as the movie progresses, as he falls more in love with Belle and becomes a nicer guy, he becomes more human. He stands upright.
Mm-hmm.
That like he stands upright and wears the blue outfit.
He wears a blue one at the end of this remake, but it's like a baby blue.
Yeah, well, he wears a blue one in the dance, but
Yeah,
you know.
but it was a dark blue.
But it
this
didn't.
one, it was, like,
but it
very
didn't
weird.
matter because he was walking upright the whole movie. That's my
I will
point.
say,
You know,
props for casting someone who looks like the original.
Yeah.
Drawings.
Yeah.
Because Dan Stevens, like, human-wise, looked like the animated prince.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
But yeah, I just. This movie it's lame, guys. It's not fun to watch. It's not even pretty. I like everyone's talking about how it's spectacular and even the visuals. I cannot get behind that. The visuals are they're rudimentary. Like they're not fun to watch. It's not a fun movie to watch. There's nothing happening in the visuals. And, you know, I think I don't know. I can talk about this in some other movie that we talk about, but this is something that really bothers me is just these movies where visually nothing interesting is happening, and the story is not interesting enough to make up for that. You know, some people say the Marvel movies are not visually interesting, and granted, some of them aren't. I'll give you that. You know, some of the ones that should be aren't. You know. But the ones that are rather plain at least have interesting stories. You know, they have like fun, intriguing stories or like exciting stories, or the characters are fun to be with. This movie it falls flat on all those fronts. The characters in this movie, because of the acting, are as flat as the look of the movie itself. And that makes me sad. I want to like this movie, but at the same time, I do like this movie. When I saw it when I was, you know, a little kid in the 90s, you know, like, because this is the same movie. It's very frustrating. And it's frustrating to know that they're going to do a live action Lion King, which is like, how do you do live action Lion King? Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, you know, we're past the days of practical effects because I think the Beast could have been way better than that. Yeah.
Just get some like Rick Baker.
What is Rick Baker doing right now, huh?
Pirates of the
That's what
Caribbean.
I thought. That's what I thought the whole movie. There was a certain point in the movie where I was like, is Rick Baker so busy that Disney can't go, hey, award-winning Rick Baker who did the special effects that won many awards for American Werewolf in London. Can you make our Wolfman Beast guy? Like, where is he? What are they doing? Like, guys.
Also, I always felt like Dan Stevens had like a retainer in his mouth or something.
Yeah.
Like, he talks like this.
Yeah.
When, like, you can tell with Robbie Benson's voice, like, that's just his voice.
That's the Beast's voice.
That's his voice. Like, he doesn't need to put, like, fake teeth in.
Yeah. What is it? Then go ahead and starve!
Yeah.
Like, that's a great moment in the movie.
Oh, man, that was such a disappointment.
Bummer.
In this.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Like, and, like, some of the lines that were the same in this just weren't delivered properly.
Yeah.
And then they gave people lines that they didn't have in the original. Like in the original, they're like, why did you let her go? And the Beast says, because I love her. And that moment is like so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, like that makes me believe everything. But in this one, like, they're like, why did you let her go? And he's just like, And then Mrs. Potts is the one who's like, because he loves her. Because he's in love with her. And I'm like, why can't he say that himself?
Like I said, I think it's just a bunch of fans trying to make like a fan live action movie. It's a bummer. It's lame. But I think, you know, I think we've said enough. We went way over time, but that's okay because, you know, I think it's interesting. You know, hopefully somebody will listen to this. Well, that's it for this episode of After the Movie. And maybe because I love that this is like a discussion, and you know, we could probably do episodes of this that are also about, you know, movies that already exist. You know, that aren't brand new, that aren't 2 days old. You know, I think that can be really interesting and bring some, you know, discuss some movies that otherwise don't get any, you know, limelight. So we hope you tune in for the next episode of After the Movie. And
what are we gonna see?
I don't know. I mean,
It's coming out.
Well, we could do one on something we already. Like I said, we could do one on an older movie. Maybe that could be the pattern, you know.
Yeah.
Unless there's.
We'll have to wait for Guardians 2.
Guardians 2 definitely after the movie. That's for sure the next one in theaters. But yeah, and we can even do like themes, you know. Maybe we could do a couple Marvel movies before Guardians 2. We could do a couple.
Maybe we could do some Disney stuff since we just.
Yeah, we could do some Disney stuff since we just did Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do the original.
Yeah, we could do that.
About why we love it so much.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, thanks for listening. Tune in next time. We have been your hosts, Skylar and Mia here next to me, and Anna sitting way in the back because she has to do some homework, so she chimed in a couple times. Hi, Anna.
Hi.
It was so soft. We're always changing up the roster of people here on After the Movie at Truman Pictures. So come back next time, and maybe we'll have a couple of different hosts. Always trying to get different people coming in, different opinions. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.